Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, the channel where we go through the good and bad of everything nerdy to make sure you spend your time on the best of the best. In today's video, we'll be doing a review and how to play video on the Hero Realms deck building game, so let's get into it. So Hero Realms is a deck building game from White Wizard Games, and today we'll be talking about the base starter deck that you can get for the game that plays for 2 to 4 players. But let's jump into how the game works so you have a better idea on that and how to play, and then I'll jump into my full review after that. Alright, so Hero Realms is a fantasy-based deck building game where after hundreds of years of war in the Empire, the people are at relative peace. However, now thanks to the relative peace among nations, the wealth has continued to grow, and this has led to continuous political and physical conflict among the residents in the Empire. And so players will battle it out to be the last player standing by building decks of various heroes, abilities, items, and more. So the game itself is pretty easy to set up. Each player will start by taking a couple of these cards which track your health total throughout the game. Alright, so once players have decided what color they want to be, you're going to create your foundation starting deck. And so that just consists of 7 gold cards, 1 short sword card, a dagger card, and a ruby card. And all players will start with this foundation deck, and you can set the remaining starter cards off to the side as you won't need them if you're not playing a 3 or 4 player game. At this point, you want to separate out all the fire gem cards and you'll form the market for the game. And so how that works, again, set out the fire gem cards, you'll take all the remaining cards and this will form the market for the game. And this is what players will buy cards from to make their decks more powerful as you play. So you simply flip up 5 cards, forming the market. And then you can set the market deck off to the side. So players will start by setting their health tracker to 50. So again, how this works, you'll just take the tens digit that you're on, and then you can move the health tracker to the various points. So 57, but again, this would be 50. So that's where players start the game at. They'll shuffle their deck up. You randomly decide who's going to be the first player. And this makes a difference because the first player on their very first turn is going to draw 3 cards to form their starting hand, whereas the second player is going to draw 5 cards. So looking at your hand, there's various things that you can do on your turn. And the game is broken up into different phases. So you start off by playing the main phase, and how this works is you can play any card from your hand, basically in any order you want as well. And there's different symbols on the cards that will give you different abilities. So for example, your starting cards are basically just going to be cards that give you gold, which you can buy new cards, or they might be damage cards such as the dagger here that will deal damage to your opponent. Now in this case, looking at my hand, I've got 3 gold and 1 combat damage. So I could buy cards from the market here that have a 3 gold symbol or lower. The fire gems are always available for purchase. And then I can also deal damage to my opponent with the dagger card. So in this case, my opponent doesn't have any guards in the form of champions to block incoming damage. So I would do 1 damage to them. So I would just simply move this up to 49 in total health. And then I can buy different things from the market, as I said. So in this case, I think I'll buy this card. It's worth 2 gold. And now I will add this to my discard pile. At this point, I'll flip up the next card in the market. I still have 1 remaining gold, but there isn't any cards I can buy for 1. So now it moves on to the next player's turn. I will discard the cards I used on my turn, draw 5 new cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now it's the next player's turn. Same type of process. We've got 3 damage and 4 gold. So now this player could buy a card up to 4. And so I'll buy this one, for example. It goes in my discard pile. We'll flip up the next one. I've spent all my gold, so that gets discarded. And now I've got 3 damage, so I do 3 damage to this player, so they're at 47. And the remaining cards are discarded. Again, goes back to the other player. 5 gold this time, so I could buy a card worth 5 gold. I'll buy this Guild Mage card, and that would go in my discard pile. Now, a couple things to note when it comes to various cards and their abilities. Some of them you'll see will have this arrow symbol. This means that every turn, once you've played this card, you can tap it and activate that ability. And so in this case, that would give you 3 gold every turn. Some cards also have this other bottom line where you'll see this item symbol here with the blue color. These are ally abilities that you can activate as you play the game. So if you happen to have another card that you've played that turn matching that symbol, you would activate this additional ability. In this case, doing an additional 4 damage. Also, you'll see this card has the guard symbol with the black shield. And so what that means is that this card will stay out on the playing field until it's defeated, absorbing damage from the opponent. But you can also see on this champion card, it has a gray symboled shield on the bottom corner. And these champions function a little bit differently. So on a player's turn, for example, let's say they had 3 damage here. That damage must be used against a black guard shield before attacking the opponent and their life, or attacking a champion that has a gray shield. So you can't do damage to either of those things until the black guard shield cards are destroyed. When they are destroyed and the opponent has done enough damage, the player will simply just discard that card, and it can be eventually drawn back into their hand on a future turn. Another thing to note is that if a player has guard cards out, the opposing player doesn't have to target them unless they have that black shield. So with a gray shield, this player could decide to either destroy this card or deal damage directly to the opponent, whatever they think is the better strategy. Again, these gray shield champion cards will stay out on the battlefield once they've been played until they are defeated. And as you can see, every turn they can grant a special ability to the player. On this card, you'll also see this green symbol. That represents health, and so that would heal your character's total life force. So whenever you see that symbol, that's what that means. Another symbol you'll see on some cards is this trash symbol. And what this means is that you can sacrifice this card to use that ability on the associated row with the trash symbol. So normally this fire gem card is worth 2 gold, but if I wanted to sacrifice it and remove it completely from the game, I could get 2 gold and an additional 3 damage added to my combat power. And so once a card is destroyed like this and sacrificed, you can have a little discard pile off to the side where the sacrifice cards go. But again, once a card is sacrificed, it's removed from the game permanently. Again, players will just simply go back and forth, accumulating gold, building combat power, improving their decks, and attacking each other until there's only one player left standing. But that's really the basics of how you play the game. Some cards might have additional rules listed on them, but you just simply need to read them in most cases and it will direct you what to do. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below, or definitely check out the rulebook as well if you need any clarification on things. But now that you have a better idea on how to play the game, let's jump into my review and what I think about it. Well, now that you have a better idea on how the game works, how do I actually feel about it? Well, there's definitely a lot to like about this game. The artwork is super cool. If you like a fantasy theme, it fits in great with that. I also think that the learning curve is pretty simple to this game, but at the same time, after you've played it for a while, you can really develop a lot of different strategies as you play. The replay value is super high in this game, and there's a bunch of different expansions you can get as well. And so when you play this game, it's hard to not compare it to Magic the Gathering because there's a lot of similarities to that game. In fact, even a couple of the creators were former world champions of Magic the Gathering, so I think they took a lot of inspiration from that game. At the same time though, there's a lot of cool, unique things to this game that are a lot different than Magic the Gathering, especially in the sense that it's kind of a standalone system. Certainly, like I mentioned, there are a bunch of expansions you can jump into if you want, but if you just get this base starter deck, it gives you everything that you need to play the game. So you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of different booster packs to try and build your ultimate deck or anything like that. It's all contained within this game. So I think that makes it a little bit more accessible to a lot of different players. On top of that, it kind of gives you a fair playing field in a sense where as you start off and play the game, you have this base set of cards that you're going to use as your foundation deck, and then you can build out your strategy and acquire different cards as you play the game from there. And so, like I said, it has some similarities to Magic the Gathering. One of those is that there's kind of different colors and sets of cards that you can get as you play. And so this is similar to Magic where you're building like a type of deck. So maybe you're using red cards or black cards or green cards or white or blue or whatever the case might be. Where in this game, you've got red cards, green cards, white cards, and blue cards. but you don't need to only use those specific card types. So for example, with Magic the Gathering, you get land and mana that you can use to basically acquire new cards from your deck, where in this game you use gold to buy cards from the marketplace. And it doesn't really matter what color you buy, you get that card. And so you don't need a corresponding land type to use that card. And so that's kind of cool, where it gives you more options to create unique decks as you play. And you don't necessarily need to limit yourself to a specific color, because you could focus on a couple different colors, but then throw in other random colors that come up in the marketplace if it suits your strategy, without having to worry about if you have enough land to use those cards. And so I like that aspect of this game, and I think that adds a lot to the replayability of the game and strategy of the game as well. Because again, your strategy really develops as you play. You might think that you're gonna go in building more of an aggressive type deck, doing damage to the other player, but maybe those cards don't come up in the marketplace. And so you might need to change and alter that strategy as you're playing, especially if the other player is building a deck that might counteract that strategy. And so I think there's a lot of fun replayability to the game. And while the game is very quick to learn, since it is so fast to play a full game and the strategies differ every single time, I just think that further enhances the replayability of the game as well. Now, like I said too, this base starter deck that you can get gives you everything that you need to play the game. And so like I mentioned, you don't need to buy a bunch of different booster packs, but there are a lot of different expansions for the game as well. Some of them, for example, you can play as different characters. So instead of being just kind of a generic hero like you play in this game, you might use a specific hero like a thief or a fighter or a wizard, and that can alter your starting hit points and abilities that you get for your base cards. And so I think that can really add to the lifespan of the game if you get those different expansions beyond this base starter deck. Overall though, I really recommend this game if you like deck builders, if you like that fantasy setting. This is a great game to pick up. But at the same time, if you're not a huge fantasy fan, maybe you're into sci-fi, they also have Star Realms, which is another deck building game from White Wizard Games that follows a very similar format. There's little subtle differences, so I think if you have Star Realms, you'll definitely like this game as well. Or vice versa, if you want to check that one out, maybe you like the space theme better. They're similar games, but different enough where I think it makes sense if you like deck builders that you'd want to own both. But let me know in the comments below if you've played Hero Realms before, if you've played any other games from White Wizard Games. If there's other deck building games I should check out, let me know in the comments below. If you want to pick up a copy of this game and other expansions for Hero Realms, there'll be links in the description below as well where you can do that. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button as it really helps out the channel. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. If you'd like to help us support the channel, pick out content and more, become a patron of ours at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And if you'd like to plug into our live streams and Let's Plays we do on the channel, you can follow us on Twitch at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Twitch. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.